Well, hello there. This is Kim Claver, and I'm glad you're here. Today, what I want to do is show you 5 ways to be successful in the MLM business without being salesy or sounding salesy or feeling salesy. 5 ways that I'd be willing to bet you have never heard before. I'm also going to show you 2 examples of people who, without being salesy or focused on the money, made more money than all of their competitors. These are examples you can follow, and I'll show you exactly how to do it right here in this video. Yeah, I know, it sounded really easy in the beginning, didn't it? But a few weeks into it, you discovered a few things about yourself. You discovered that you really weren't a go-go recruiter. How many people here can relate to that? Or you discovered that, oh, I guess I'm really not a super salesperson. And then some of you may have discovered that you don't even like talking about the money. But because you're new, you go back to the meetings, and there you hear, well, just fake it till you make it, and push the business, because that's where the money is. And then on the business cards, they suggest you call yourself a business consultant, and you haven't even made any money yet. And for some people, this is just too much, because it's not who they are. If that's you, see if this is better. What lights your fire most is helping people with your program and your passion and your knowledge. But because of all the talk about the focus on the income and the recruiting, you're beginning to ask yourself, is there really any money in this for somebody like me? Is it really possible to help your way to success in a business of your own, especially an MLM business or a network marketing business, where so much of the focus seems to be on the money and on the recruiting? Well, I have a surprise for you. Let's check out Mother Teresa. Why do you think she did what she did? I'll bet you didn't know this about her. And they weren't small checks either. Many of them were for over $50,000 each, every week. Often, a concerned donor would call and say, hey, did you get my check? It was for $50,000. And of course, they were very grateful. But because they got so many of them, they'd have to ask him at the end, which one was yours? So here's the bottom line with this story. Helper healers can bring in major money. And they do so because their heart is focused on helping people rather than on the income they'll derive from it. This doesn't mean helper healers don't think about the income. It just means that they think about helping first and the income second. It's the order of those things and the order of what motivates a helper healer that makes the difference. And guess what else? Yep, she was past 60 when she experienced this giant worldly success. Bags and bags of checks every week and love and recognition from around the world. Okay, let's change gears. Apple. Who do you think really sells their iPhone, their iPad, their iPod, and their Mac computers? What if your customers lined up around your house or wherever you were doing a product or business demo like Apple's customers do? Here's how they do that. Of course, they have a super duper product, which I love madly. But apart from that, Apple's marketing strategy success was laid down about 15 years ago in 1997 by Steve Jobs. The company had been left for dead. Some of you may remember he got kicked out, and he came back because the company was dying. At the beginning of his relaunching Apple, he laid out 3 very specific marketing rules that you can copy yourself. Here we go. Rule number 1, no tech talk. No talking about the technical specifications of the Macintosh computer. That's basically all they had at that time. His job was to bring Apple back. And here's what he said.
The Apple brand has clearly suffered from neglect in this area in the last few years. And we need to bring it back. The way to do that is not to talk about speeds and feeds. It's not to talk about MIPS and megahertz.
Then he added rule 2. No bragging about how great we are.
It's not to talk about why we're better than Windows.
Then he told how Nike, one of the greatest companies in 1997, had become great by following those same 2 rules. Here's what he said.
And one of the greatest jobs of marketing the universe has ever seen is Nike. Remember, Nike sells a commodity. They sell shoes. And yet, when you think of Nike, you feel something different than a shoe company. In their ads, as you know, they don't ever talk about the product. They don't ever tell you about their air soles and why they're better than Reebok's air soles. What does Nike do in their advertising? They honor great athletes and they honor great athletics. That's who they are. That's what they are about.
Here's Apple rule number 3. Steve Jobs decided to choose his customers. The idea of everyone didn't inspire him at all. What inspired Steve Jobs was building a computer and marketing a computer to people who thought different. People who other people called the crazy ones. He loved people who were passionate, like he was, and believed that they could change the world. Those are the people he wanted to build and market his computers for, because those are the people who inspired him the most. In fact, their whole campaign came out called Think Different. And his bottom line was, of all the people featured in that ad, from Picasso to Amelia Earhart to Einstein to Gandhi, he said, you know, if any of those people had been alive today, they'd have used a Mac. And I think most people agree that they would have. Okay, so now, what are you going to do? For your next product or business meeting, if you don't talk about the product, and you don't talk about the science of it, and you don't tell how or why your product or your business or your pay plan or your company or your management, if you don't talk about why those are better than everybody else, what in the world are you going to talk about? Second, how do you choose your customers so that they line up when you have a presentation, like Apple's do? And some of you may wonder, if you're not doing it for the money and you're not talking about the money, how do you get others to follow you? In this video, I'm going to show you how to make some money without talking about it. I'll show you how to become a success without being salesy, and I'll show you how to wow your customers. And here's what it's going to take. You're going to need some shock and awe. You'll need some authority. You'll need a good product, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. You'll need niche customers, and you're going to need promises that you can deliver on. Okay? Are you ready?